And I'll give you that exact number because we deal with the absolute truth. I don't want to mislead you here. What did we miss? Shooting in Buffalo, 18-year-old child, white boy, decides to take some firearms and map out a black grocery store in Buffalo, New York, drove 200 miles and had a strategic plan, and he killed, I believe, up to 14 black shoppers at the grocery store in a predominantly black community, very high in clergy. And before the pain or the paint dried on the walls of the memorials just days after, a copycat little situation from an 18-year-old in Texas who purchased 2 firearms out on his 18th birthday, 2 assault rifles, went in, and now they're lying and trying to explain what really happened. So that situation is going to be there. So we're going to wait on the facts. But there's some real quick measures that can happen and actually can take place to show you how divided we are, because it does not make any sense if you can actually buy 2 assault rifles, but you can't buy a pack of cigarettes or a can of beer. So raising the national age limit when purchasing firearms should be 21, and it should have been 21 a very long time ago. Period. It shouldn't even be a debate about it. That's something that should be signed executive action right now. Bam. Right now. But they won't do it. Why? Because they want 18-year-olds to be able to purchase guns. Because when you're dealing with a democratic party, a democrat party, this is what they thrive off of. So the devil is on the run. He's being exposed. And usually when you turn the light on, the truth, they got to run. But in this case, it's in our face. So we're going to deal with the ghosts because we're not scared of ghosts. We're not dealing with the Democratic past and J. Edgar Hoover and, the racist. We're dealing with powers and principalities. So they're basically operating from a perspective of a fantasy, which is fear. They're fear mongers. They play with your emotions. Because right now, we have to pay attention and understand that all of these things that's going on is designed to distract. Bait and switch. To bait and switch. Now, I have a question. And I'm sticking to the topic because this thing is not going to go away. I'm just going to give you some instances or some scenarios of some truth right in plain time, in plain sight, to show you, that the plan and the scam. Now, Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House. And any political science teacher, instructor, or professor will tell you and confirm that the Speaker of the House is the most powerful human being in Washington because she controls the House and the House of Congress, which includes the Senate and Congress. Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. So Joe Biden is the president of the United States. Kamala Harris is a VP, even though she's missing in action. And then you have Kamala Harris. So the chain of command is 1, 2, 3. But when it comes to Congress, she's the speaker. She's the one with the gallop. Boom. Causing, making the shots, calling everything to order. So it would be fair to say that she is typically the underboss of the Democratic Party because she's been a Democrat her entire year. Okay. She's liberal. She's from San Francisco. So check this out. The Archdiocese allowed Archbishop Sandoval Cordileone, who is Nancy Pelosi's priest at her church in San Francisco. They put a bolo out. Be on the lookout for Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, the most powerful person in Washington. And they basically said that she cannot take, and I'm going to say this, Holy Communion. Wait a minute. I asked my pastor, what do I have to do, or what would I have to do for you to deny me Holy Communion? He was confused. He took a pause and wondered, like, what was that? And he didn't want to touch it. So I allowed him to just do what he do. But for me, I'm sitting back and I start purging a little bit, and I found some information, and I was wondering why and how and if this is possible. So apparently, the Archbishop in San Francisco has been trying to reach Nancy Pelosi to have a conversation. Nancy Pelosi has been denying his calls. So he put out a bolo and tweeted and followed up with the confirmation letter CC'd by the Vatican that said, and I'm just keeping it short a little bit. And basically the reason why she can't take communion, and this is what the Archbishop said, because of the grave evil that she is perpetrating. And I'm going to say this again, the grave evil that she is perpetrating. Wow. So deliver us from evil. Deliver us from evil. The Speaker of the House, convicted, tried, denied communion by the Catholic Church, CC'd John Paul III, which is the head of the Catholic Church Global, that the Speaker of the House and the head of the Democratic Party cannot take Holy Communion. So if the Catholic Church feels this way about Nancy Pelosi, how do they feel about her boss? I did a little purging, and apparently Joe Biden has been denied Holy Communion as well. But this how gangster he is. He went to the Pope himself, but we're going to see if the Pope's going to do it again. So you can see that the religious aspect of First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of press, and freedom of religion. You see the religious organizations removing themselves and going on record about the Democratic Party. Because I know Archbishop Sandoval Cordileone knows that Democrat means rule by the devil or devil rule. That's when they say under democratic rule. That's why they say our democracy. If you want somebody to miss it, you put it right there in the front. So when you're dealing in powers and principalities, you start to think strategic. You don't think like a athlete. You think like a coach. Just imagine if you were playing hard press on the corner, you got that man. That's your guy. You're playing press corner, metaphorically speaking in sports. That's a player. But you the coach. You know what play they run. I don't want press over there. Run a cover 3. Stay on top because our stats say that the next play is going to be an underneath route. It's 3rd and 8. So you're going to try to get the first down. So get out of press. Stay over the top. Outside linebacker. Get some depth. And make sure you turn around because that ball coming your way. Get that pick and run for 6. You see how that works when you look at it from a team perspective? Everybody got a job to do. My job is in the press box. Because God's people shall not perish due to the lack of knowledge. Like I said, these grand distractions. Now, if the Speaker of the House cannot take Holy Communion, and then if you look at the press releases and the headlines, they talked about because of her stance on abortion. And even in the letter, they did put the archdiocese position on abortion. They basically said that the Catholic Church on the global perspective is against, and I'm going to say this again, against abortion. They have been forever. So why now are they separating themselves from the Democratic Party, refusing Holy Communion, which means you can't come in our church? Only thing you could do is take confessions. But you can't even come into church. And that's a message that the Catholic Church is sending to the entire Democratic Party because of the grave evil that they are perpetrating. And the only way that this continues is if God's people make a decision to live because of the knowledge that they want to absorb. Knowledge is the number one gift from God. Wisdom is the second gift. So we cannot act as if we don't know what we're supposed to do. Now, guilty by association. So if Nancy Pelosi cannot take Holy Communion, that means the entire party is being denied by the Catholic Church because of the grave evil that they are perpetrating. How is it possible that we can be a part of that party and not be guilty by association? Guilty by association. So therefore, if we are riding around with some murderers, they got Uzis, Glocks, AK-47s, and they tattoo tears all over their face, look like they all crying, and they saying, yeah, we going to dump and get in the car. Or matter of fact, you're already in the car. Are you going to stay in the car? Or are you going to get out? See, the fool will stay in the car because he want to be down. He ain't pulling no trigger. He not putting in no work. And as soon as something happened and the police pulls them over, they look right at him and say, you know, snitches get stitches. So now you're an innocent person about to get 25 to life just because of your loyalty, because snitches get stitches. Shoot, me personally, I would try my luck and get in the stitches, okay, because I know how to move. So just think about that. Guilty by association. A lot of people always say, oh, our vote don't count. Not in these deep, dark blue states. No, they don't. California don't matter because California's going to vote liberal because that's what they do. But why do we feel like we got to be a part of something that's not good? Why do we feel like we got to attach ourselves to something that we know is real, is evil? Listen, the Democrats' elected officials are being denied by the Catholic Church is denying Democratic officials because of the grave evil that they are perpetrating. Why now? Because now it's time to separate from the devil. We cannot be a country, a republic, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. And republic does not mean Republican Party. Republican Party is just a political party. The republic is, America is a republic, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, God-fearing. And this is why the Catholic Church is removing itself from the entire Democratic Party as a whole. Our First Amendment in the Constitution is freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion. So if the religious community is removing themselves and disassociating themselves from the Democratic Party, it's because they don't want to be associated with a party that is committing grave evil. They say it rolls downhill, and it does, because when you uphill, you look at the aftermath because you're seeing it roll down. But when you downhill, you get crushed. So it's time for us to look up and look out for these grand distractions and get to higher ground, because God is trying to holler at us. And when I say God's trying to holler at us, he's trying to talk to us. He's trying to minister to our spirit, because he knows that these grand distractions are going to keep on happening until we connect mentally, spiritually, and do the right thing, because the truth shall make us free. The truth shall make us free. So we have to deal in spirit and in truth, because when you're a fraud, you typically would be the loudest one in the room. I guarantee you a fraudulent $100 bill probably get distributed more so than a real $100 bill, because a real $100 bill could stay in your pocket. But a fraudulent $100 bill is hot because you're trying to get some change, because you know you got some fraudulent paper. You're trying to play somebody for you to spend that money. You know it's fake. And George Floyd lost his life for apparently having a fraudulent $20 bill. So that just lets you know that there's reals and that there's fake. So we got to deal with the real. And in American politics, which party is the real party? Which one is the fake party? Which one won? Which one lost? This is how we win. Time is undefeated. So fret not. While these grand distractions are all over the world, all in